Is it impossible to buy a house in London without parental help? You might remember a few weeks ago the advice given to millennials by estate agent Strutt and Parker: if we give up on luxuries like sandwiches and going out with friends, we could get on the property ladder in a mere 5 years. While eating gruel for lunch and foregoing a social life for half a decade doesn't seem ideal, maybe it's not so bad if you get a house at the end of it. What Strutt and Parker failed to mention, however, is that even if you do live the life of an ascetic, you'll still need your parents to chip in about £30,000. Thanks for the tip, lads, but there's quite a few of us out here whose parents can't afford to add a cool 30k to our kitty. But, does that mean there's no hope for those us not blessed with wealthy family? My mum and dad bought a house in Greater London when they were in their 20s, living on the salaries of a decorator and an administrator. They had to save, of course, but were able to do so while still affording rent, not to mention the costs of raising 2 kids. That seems like an impossible dream nowadays, but surely, there must be a way to get on the property ladder, even if it does mean boycotting Pret for life. Since most of the advice we receive on the topic either comes from people who want to sell houses whatever the cost, or people who purchased their homes in a completely different time, we thought we'd get our money month hats on, and give you an honest account of what you'd actually need to do to get those coveted first home keys. So, first things first, you need to be earning a salary that'll allow you to save in the first place. Recent results from job website Monster put the average at around £35,000. Of course, averages can't show everybody's situation, and particularly if you're younger you'll find that your pay differs greatly from this. However, for illustrative purposes let's assume that's your wage. That puts your take-home pay at £2,256 a month, but bear in mind that this doesn't include pension contributions or student loan repayments. If you can't stay with family, you likely have to pay for rent, which varies from £530 to £1,346 a month for a room. For argument's sake, let's say you're paying £600, which leaves you with £1,656 to play with. Next, remove £155 for utilities, £22 for internet, and £139 for transport. These are all figures taken from Expetistan. And according to Money Advice Service, Londoners spend £230 on food. So, the current total is £1,110. But, that's without ever leaving the house for work, or paying for everything else that adds up, like insurance, debt repayments, Christmas presents, a mobile phone contract, home improvements, not staring at the wall in solitary confinement. So, putting aside around £500 for all of those things, you have £610 left to save a month, or £7,320 annually. The average price for a flat, maisonette in London currently sits at £413,275, according to government statistics. However, there are deals to be had depending on where you want to go. Heading out to boroughs like Barking and Bexley can take that average cost way down, with prices for a property closer to £300,000. The minimum deposit you can pay is about 5%, which in those areas is about £15,000. Most mortgage calculators don't even show figures for lending at 5% for first-time buyers, however, so 10% is better. Which estimate that, once inflation is taken into account, you can have your 10% saved in 6 years. But, when you put these figures, including income and deposit, into the Halifax mortgage calculator, they only lend you around £135,000, so if you're single it's a pretty hopeless situation, and you might as well duck out now and stop feeling guilty about buying a plate of avocado toast. If you're part of a couple, things get a bit easier. You can save your 10% in 3 years with a shared income. Time to get finding love, then. Based on these figures, Halifax would lend you about £299,000, which by the time you've actually finished saving would be just enough to get somewhere. Hopefully. But, don't get too hyped yet, as the monthly repayments would still be sitting at up to £1,300 a month. That's £650 each for the next 25 years of your life. Initial costs like stamp duty, which you may just miss if you're under the £300,000 mark due to new government plans, furniture, conveyancing, surveying, and mortgage arrangement fees are also left out of this as they're harder to predict, so they'll need to be taken into account. You'll also be responsible for all ongoing costs associated with the property, including ground rent if it's a leasehold, as well as any other